Understanding the code requirements is paramount when dealing with mobile emergency response trailers. Section 550.4 and B of the National Electrical Code applies to mobile homes not intended for use in mobile home parks, which includes emergency response trailers. Section 550.10b prohibits the use of extension cords in mobile home parks and also in mobile homes not intended for use in parks. Section 550.10d limits the length of the power supply cord to 36.5 feet. Given these restrictions, several possible solutions can be explored to address the challenge of providing power to the trailer. Firstly, consult with the authority having jurisdiction, or OJ. This involves discussing the specific application of the emergency response trailer and the limitations imposed by the code. Inquire about any possible exceptions or alternative approaches that the AHJ may allow. This collaborative approach can help identify solutions that meet both the operational needs and the safety requirements. Secondly, consider using a temporary power source. If the application is truly temporary, meaning it lasts less than 90 days, a temporary power source such as a generator could be a viable option. This would allow for the use of extension cords within the limit specified in Section 590.11 of the NEC, which pertains to temporary installations. Thirdly, explore alternative power supply methods. This could involve considering a power line drop from a nearby distribution line. It also involves installing a permanent power outlet at the locations where the trailer will be used frequently. This approach requires careful planning and coordination with the local utility company to ensure safety and compliance with all applicable regulations. Fourthly, submit a variance request. If no other solutions are feasible, consider submitting a variance request to the local code enforcement authority. In this request, explain the operational necessity of the trailer and the challenges faced with the current code requirements. Provide detailed information about the safety measures that will be implemented to mitigate any potential risks. Regarding the availability of mobile home extension cords, it is important to understand that these cords may be misleading. While they are designed for temporary use in mobile homes, they are not intended for use in emergency response trailers that fall under Section 550.4 and B of the NEC. Therefore, relying on these cords may not be compliant with the code. Finding a practical solution to power the emergency response trailer may require careful consideration and exploration of alternative options. It is essential to consult with the AHJ, consider temporary power sources, or request a variance if necessary. Safety should always be the primary concern, and any solution should comply with the applicable code requirements. Here's a more detailed breakdown of each potential solution. Consulting with the authority having jurisdiction, or AHJ, involves engaging in a dialogue with the local electrical inspector or code enforcement official. This is a crucial first step, as the AHJ has the authority to interpret and enforce the NEC. Explain the specific operational requirements of the emergency response trailer, emphasizing the need for flexibility in locating the trailer at various response sites. Present the challenges posed by the 36.5-foot power cord limitation in Section 550.10d of the NEC. Inquire whether the AHJ would consider any exceptions or alternative interpretations of the code, given the unique circumstances of the emergency response application. Ask about the possibility of using a longer power cord, provided that it meets specific safety requirements, such as being properly sized for the load and equipped with appropriate overcurrent protection. Discuss the feasibility of using a listed cord reel with an integral overcurrent protection device, which could extend the reach of the power supply while maintaining safety. Explore the option of classifying the trailer as a temporary installation under Article 590 of the NEC, which may allow for more flexible wiring methods. If the AHJ is open to considering alternative solutions, be prepared to provide detailed documentation and justification for your proposed approach. Obtaining written approval from the AHJ is essential to ensure that the solution is compliant with local regulations. Using a temporary power source, such as a generator, can provide a flexible and code-compliant solution for powering the emergency response trailer, especially for short-term deployments. Select a generator with sufficient capacity to meet the trailer's power demands, taking into account the total load of all equipment and appliances that will be operated simultaneously. Ensure that the generator is equipped with appropriate safety features, such as overcurrent protection, ground fault circuit interrupter protection for personnel, and automatic voltage regulation. Position the generator in a well-ventilated area, away from flammable materials and occupied spaces to prevent the buildup of hazardous fumes. Use heavy-duty extension cords that are sized appropriately for the load and are listed for outdoor use. Follow the length limitations specified in Section 590.4J of the NEC, which restricts the use of extension cords to a maximum length of 100 feet for 12 American wire gauge cords and 50 feet for 14 American wire gauge cords. Implement a regular maintenance schedule for the generator, including checking the oil level, cleaning the air filter, and inspecting the fuel lines for leaks. Keep a log of all maintenance activities and repairs. Consider using a portable generator with an automatic transfer switch, which will automatically switch the trailer's power source from the utility grid to the generator in the event of a power outage. This ensures an uninterrupted power supply for critical equipment and appliances. Provide training to all personnel who will be operating the generator on proper startup, shutdown, and safety procedures. Exploring alternative power supply methods may involve installing a permanent power outlet at locations where the trailer will be used frequently. Identify the locations where the emergency response trailer is most likely to be deployed. Coordinate with the local utility company to determine the feasibility of installing a permanent 480-volt, 50-amp, three-phase power outlet at each location. Ensure that the power outlet is installed in accordance with all applicable electrical codes and regulations. The installation should be performed by a licensed electrical contractor. Consider using a weatherproof enclosure to protect the power outlet from the elements. Install appropriate signage to identify the voltage and amperage of the power outlet. Implement a lockout-tagout procedure to ensure that the power outlet is de-energized before any maintenance or repairs are performed in the trailer's electrical system. Inspect the power outlet regularly for any signs of damage or wear and tear. Repair or replace any damaged components immediately. If installing a permanent power outlet is not feasible, consider using a power line drop from a nearby distribution line. This involves connecting the trailer's electrical system directly to the utility's power grid. Coordinate with the local utility company to determine the feasibility of using a power line drop. Ensure that the power line drop is installed in accordance with all applicable electrical codes and regulations. The installation should be performed by a licensed electrical contractor. Use appropriate hardware and connectors to ensure a secure and reliable connection. Install a disconnecting means at the point where the power line drop connects to the trailer's electrical system. Implement a grounding system that meets the requirements of the NEC. Submitting a variance request involves formally requesting an exception to the specific code requirements that are preventing the trailer from being powered safely and effectively. Prepare a detailed written request that clearly identifies the specific code sections for which a variance is being sought, in this case sections 550.10b and 550.10d of the NEC. Explain the reasons why compliance with these code sections is impractical or impossible, given the unique operational requirements of the emergency response trailer. Provide a comprehensive description of the proposed alternative solution, including detailed specifications of the equipment and materials that will be used. Include a risk assessment that identifies any potential hazards associated with the proposed alternative solution and describes the safety measures that will be implemented to mitigate those hazards. Provide supporting documentation, such as engineering drawings, equipment specifications, and test reports. Submit the variance request to the local code enforcement authority, such as the electrical inspector or building official. Be prepared to attend a meeting with the code enforcement authority to discuss the variance request and answer any questions they may have. If the variance request is approved, obtain written documentation of the approval, including any conditions or restrictions that may apply. Keep a copy of the variance approval on file and make it available to inspectors upon request. Regarding mobile home extension cords, It is crucial to understand that these codes are not intended for use in emergency response trailers that fall under Section 550.4 and B of the NEC. Mobile home extension cords are typically designed for temporary use in mobile home parks, where the electrical system is designed to accommodate such cords. Emergency response trailers, on the other hand, are often deployed in a variety of locations, some of which may not have adequate electrical infrastructure to support the use of extension cords. Using mobile home extension cords in emergency response trailers could create a safety hazard, such as overloading the electrical system, causing a fire, or exposing personnel to electrical shock. The NEC prohibits the use of extension cords as a substitute for permanent wiring. Therefore, it is essential to explore alternative power supply methods that comply with the NEC and ensure the safety of personnel and equipment. In conclusion, finding a practical and code-compliant solution to power the emergency response trailer requires careful consideration of all available options. Consulting with the AHJ is essential to understanding the local interpretation of the code and to identifying any potential exceptions or alternative approaches. Temporary power sources, alternative power supply methods, and variance requests are all viable options that should be explored. Safety should always be the primary concern, and any solution should comply with the applicable code requirements. Remember to document all decisions and approvals in writing, and to provide training to all personnel who will be operating the trailer's electrical system.